Check. 1, 2, 3.
The D.
Brief.
This is the D brief.
Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's art.
Arts and entertainment scene.
This is the D.
Brief.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Seth Wrestler, and I am here with Bill Bushart, who is headlining Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak this weekend. A guy who's been on the podcast before and whose name has come up quite a bit because we've had a number of comedians on the podcast, and so many of them have told us that they came through the classes, that was how they started their comedy career, was taking the comedy classes at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle. And of course, you, Bill, teach that intro class. What's the official title of it? Is it Comedy 101? I never know.
It changes every year.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's a Comedy 101. When I hear teach, it freaks me out a little bit.
Does it really?
Yeah,
Did you ever think that?
No, it's just the, I guess it is. It's the same. I feel like I'm coaching people or just helping ruin their lives.
Well, I took it. And one of the things
look at you.
Yeah, well, here you go. Yes. But one of the things that surprised me about it is that there are people of all different ages and...
Oh, yeah. Just such a variety of people come through there. It doesn't matter. It's just people with an interest in comedy, Some people do it one time. Some people want to pursue it and just have an idea what it's all about, and it's a good launching point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know. So you
Right.
get in there and you find some things out. And you go from there.
I've seen teenagers take it who, that's what they want to do. They want to grow, be a comedian.
We actually have a teen camp starting on June 19th, I believe.
Oh, wow.
For 3 days straight. We meet for 2.5, 3 hours. And it's just for teenagers. Come in, learn about stand-up, put together a little set, and then we're going to have them do a show.
Is this the first time you're doing that?
We've tried it in the past with not too much success, but this time it's picked up some speed, so we're excited about it.
Is there more interest in stand-up comedy now than there has been in the past?
Well, according to Mark Ridley, he said that the number one, or he told me, the number one search thing on the internet when it comes to comedy is comedy classes.
Really?
So isn't that crazy?
Wow. So I was in the castle recently. I saw Alonzo Bowden there.
Yes, yeah.
And he was talking about on stage how difficult it is to be a comedian right now because we've sort of hit this point where life has gotten so, life itself has jumped the shark that it's kind of hard to be more ridiculous than what's actually going on. Do you sense that as a comedian?
No, because I'm pretty ridiculous as it is. I just played Ann Arbor last week, and I was very nervous before the shows just because of political correctness, and it's kind of a liberal town, and I tell dirty jokes, and I'm always just kind of worried about it. And it was fantastic. No problems at all. I had it all built up in my head. So I think when people come into a comedy club, I don't think they're overthinking anything. And a lot of times they don't even know who they're going to go see.
Right.
They're just there to have a good time. So...
I did notice that even, in the small time that I was dabbling in comedy, that performing in Detroit is different than performing in Ann Arbor, is different than performing up in Saginaw, for example. I mean, talk a little bit about those differences and do you adapt depending on where you are?
When you're doing a bar gig, and I do a lot of bar gigs, and I do a lot of VFW halls and out of the way places as being a Michigan road comic, because that's where you end up working in these types of things. So when you come to a club, it's a totally different vibe. You got to kind of change how your mode of attack will be. I can be pretty aggressive in a bar, just trying to get people's attention and stuff. You don't need to do all those parlor tricks so much at a club. You want to let the material work for you and make sure those jokes you've written are working. So that's the way I look at it. I just kind of... I don't know. There's just a different energy that I bring to either one of those. So.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your style, because I actually saw you perform for the first time after I had taken the class with you, and I'll never forget this because in the class you're so encouraging. You're a very nurturing guy. You're very you help people get up on stage and kind of reinforce everything they're doing. And then I went to the Holly Hotel and saw you headline. And I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because you are very aggressive. Don Rickles is actually the guy that I think of. When I think of
he's
you.
a huge influence. And just those comedians from the 70s. It's so hard for me to talk about comedy because as I start talking about things, I'm just babbling,
No. I love hearing about this. I love the...
But, that he was an influence. And, Dennis Miller was an influence at one point. And Steve Martin was an influence at one point. And it's, I like to think my act is like part my brother drunk, part another buddy of mine who when they're drunk, and then like George Costanza. It's like those three people mixed together create this character up there. So,
What is your writing process? What do you-
a lot of times I just do it on stage with the improvising with the material I've already written and stuff, and I come up with stuff, and I just keep doing that. So I get to build off things. And, I'm just trying to get as many punchlines out as I can in the time that I'm up there. So
You do interact with the audience quite a bit on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel like it doesn't start out like that. I feel like the jokes I tell in the beginning or the way my energy is, people feel like they can yell things out. It's been like this for a long time. Like people just really want to be a part of what's going on. So they'll shout things out or they get caught up in it somehow. So, just work over the crowd, and next thing you know, they're a part of the show. It's a lot of fun.
I keep hearing about shows, and I'll be honest, this would totally intimidate me, but I keep hearing about shows where audience heckling or interaction is encouraged. You've got things like Prankus going on.
Yeah, I would
You've got
never
things
do
like the
that.
jingle.
I don't
Really?
encourage it. I don't want somebody who knows what they're doing and heckling me.
Right.
That's the power of being the comic, is you usually can overpower the person with the mouth.
What do you think? Because you are dealing with a lot of younger comics in the classes, what's your sense of what's going on out there? Because we have The Independent, which just opened over at Planet Ant. How is the comedy scene?
It's young, man, and it's entrepreneurial, and people are trying to do their own thing, and isn't that what it's all about? A new scene is happening. This is about, it's a young person's sport. At the end of the day, there's always new talent coming up. There's always the guy that's coming next. So I love it. I love everything that's going on.
Do you have any sense for how the comedy scene here compares to other cities around the country?
Not really. But it's just different when you're here. When you're in New York, you're probably going up a lot more, I guess, if you're here you're just traveling all over to the different towns. You spend more time driving than you do putting on the shows.
But if I went to another city, would I hear as many people say, "Oh yeah, I started because I took the class with Bill"?
If you went to another city, would you hear that? I don't know.
You guys don't all get together and unionize.
I feel lucky to have this opportunity to do this class, because I've seen a lot of great talent and I've met a lot of great people, and it's opened up a lot of great doors for me. But I never take credit for anybody, because you can't. Once again, it's just a launching point. Whenever somebody has any type of success, that's on. They've worked for that. So,
can you talk about some of the people who have come through the class over the years, who have gone on?
Good. I'll always just go back to the fallback. Brad Wenzel has taken the class.
Yeah, we had him on the podcast recently.
Jeff
Just
Arcuri.
Who is coming up now that we should watch out for?
I like Camilla Bellario. I've had her open for me several times, and I think she's just got a very unique act, and I think she's very funny, and I think that she's got something going on. I just watched a young comic, Andrew Yang, came out and did a couple of guest sets out in Ann Arbor, and I thought he was very funny. Richard Mathis out of Battle Creek, I think, is a hilarious young comic. So a lot of good. There's a lot of talent in Michigan and nobody knows any of these people. It's just wild.
So sometimes, let's say that sometimes it's worth it to just go out and see a show, just to see what's going on.
I've seen Tuesday night amateur shows at the Castle, or Wednesday night amateur shows for let's say a contest or a showcase that rival weekend shows with the amount of laughs and the amount of talent on the stage. It just is,
You also have the big competition that you do every year.
That's the Detroit to LA thing, that comedy challenge. We started doing that about 12 years ago when I was at Joey's in Livonia, and just picked it back up here at the Castle. So this will be our fourth year, and we just fly somebody out to LA. We get them in. We just got Marcus Olin in the Burbank Comedy Festival and Flappers. Plus, he'll get some other gigs throughout the time that he's there. So it's just really to get people out there, let them see what LA is like. They come back, they want to go back out. It's up to them. They don't need, you don't need this contest or me to get out there, but it just helps to have somebody fly out there.
Now, has it started this year?
It starts on, what is it, the 11th? I think we started on the 11th, June 11th. Yeah.
Okay. And if people want to enter, what do they do?
19th, I think, is the second one. I'm guessing I have to look. I can't remember off the top.
What do people do if they want to enter?
They just send a Can Do Comedy at Outlook.com. They can go to the Castle website. They can go to our Facebook page, Detroit to LA Comedy Challenge.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
You mentioned Marcus Olin. He's opening for you this weekend along with Alan Black.
Yes.
Tell me about them.
Well, Marcus, he came on. I never really met Marcus, and then all of a sudden, I'd say about the last year, I've seen him quite a bit because he ended up getting in that contest and winning it. and just have worked with him a few times, had him come out with me. He's a funny guy, man. He's just a good young comic. And Alan Black, I've known Alan for years, so it's going to be fun to work with him because he took the class. And now I get a chance to see him, get a chance to feature at the Comedy Castle, and I know it means a lot to him to get this opportunity. So,
oh, that's awesome. Well, look, people should definitely come out and see you this weekend.
Yes,
you are
do.
performing all weekend at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak. It's a very funny show. Like I said, Don Rickles is always the guy that I come back to see somebody. And
I'll take that as a great compliment.
Oh, yes, absolutely. People should come out and check it out. Don't just believe me. The Metro Times once named you the funniest comic in the Detroit area.
You know what? I also won Hour Magazine 2019 Comedian of the Year. How do you like that one, too?
Congratulations.
Yes.
So yes, definitely go check it out. Bill Bushart. And if people want to take the class, how do they sign up?
They can call the Comedy Castle 248-542-9900. Just let them know you want to take the class. I'll get you on the class list, and I'll see you there.
I'm a proud graduate, and I fully endorse it. So people
Thank
should
you,
go
sir.
check it
I
out.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
The D Brief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.